doing it. You supposed to be happy you sitting there with Kid L. Why you mad?
The Kid L Podcast.
Rocking and rolling. Phil, my boy, what's happening?
What's up, man?
Phil, if people don't know, Phil's the person that's responsible for me even having a podcast, because when I was looking for space to do a podcast in, he reached out and said I could use his studio space here at Parallel Sound Studio. And then all of a sudden we ended up at 315 episodes. So appreciate you, my boy. Shout out for that.
How long has it been?
2 years, 2.5 years.
Jeez.
So it's been a minute, man. But let's talk about the Phil. Where's Phil from?
Like Clinton Township, Mount Clemens area.
So you're not from Detroit 7 Mile?
No.
West Shaner?
No, I'm not. I'm right from the start. I was born in, well, not born. I was born in Detroit like everyone else, but I grew up in like Shelby Township. Nice neighborhood.
That's cool. The first time I got aware of what you were doing, it was because of the studio, Parallel Sound Studio, and I heard it was like hell to put everything together. Weren't you guys this is Parallel Sound Studio. People don't know, it's a studio. You record music. A lot of legendary people come through here. But when you guys were developing the studio, didn't you say like guys were fucking like almost had no money and running out of time and shit like that?
Yeah. So when at first I was just working at studios as a freelancer, and all the studios I was working at were really just like financially motivated. And when I first got into music, I was the exact opposite, where I just wanted to make good songs. And so I felt like my only solution, instead of getting in trouble with the owners, was to open up my own spot. And I came from working at nice studios, so I had the clientele built up. But when I got this place, my mom gave me a credit card that had like $5,000 on it, and I saved like $2,000. So the lease of this place and everything ran me like half of that money. And then I had a laptop, speakers, and a microphone. And I basically called all my clientele and was like, I guess this is a studio, but the desk was made out of plywood, like just 2 pieces of plywood that I put together. And I was like, I'll record you and mix you for half the rate. The quality come out the same, but the experience is going to be terrible. And I was just working day in and day out to pay the bills, and then just try to make upgrades. And then we've gotten here, and I just did that I still have not made a dollar off of Parallel over the last 6 years. Every dollar has went back into Parallel.
What is that called? Being in the red? Is that the terminology for it?
Like, we make profit, but I'm always making upgrades. I always take 100% of the profit and put it back into upgrades. Like, we just built that room over there. We've been collecting profit for a long time to put that in there.
Man, I noticed that the front's been under construction for a while, but it's looking like it's going to be something amazing. Is his mic good?
I wanted to adjust it, but
He's going to adjust your mic, man.
probably know where to move it to.
Okay.
Now we can blank this out, because if I can't say this, but I will say it, and then you can tell me if we can blank it out after I say it. But one person that came in here to do construction for the interior of the building is Eminem's acoustic manager.
Yeah. So the guys we have doing the studio, Ken and Tony. Ken did Roll House, Eminem Studio, a bunch of major studios. That's all he does for a living. And then Tony is a part-time electrician, but he's been Eminem's recording engineer, I think, for like 20 years. And he does all their tech work and stuff. He still works with them today.
That's cool,
Yeah.
man.
He's a really good guy.
You went for like the highest grade people to work on your studio.
Yeah, this was like my like last investment, because if anyone has been around the studio, they know that I've like remodeled the rooms over and over and over again. But I just never put a major, like, it was never like my dream studio. It was like always, okay, I'm gonna do this, and then like in a year I'm gonna fucking redo it again. And like this was like my hope to like get a perfect room that I won't have to touch for like 15, 20 years, you know?
So that new project is the one that you just want to be stamped like this is it for a long ass time, pretty much.
Yeah.
Now you're able to keep. Can we talk about your clients, or
Yeah.
because I know Cash Kid Mark records here, right?
Yeah, he records with Anton. He's an engineer over in LA and Vegas, and he comes and works here part-time, and when Cash gets here, he records with him.
Talk about some of the artists that have passed through here, man. Some of the guys who have made some hits and whatnot.
Yeah, I've been a lot less involved in the studio over the last couple of years. When I was working a lot, I mean, I worked with everybody on at one point we ran into time just engineering for a long time. I would say like some of my like original guys would be like Self-Made Cash. Did a good amount of work with Band Gang Biggs and man, a lot of names are.
I watched this interview and it pissed me off because you were supposed to come on my podcast first, but I watched this podcast you were on and you basically said that you tried Hollywood out and you didn't like it.
Yeah. That's honestly, that was like the turning. So I've quit mixing. I've quit music and I don't think I will ever go back to it. I don't know if anyone knows that. I think my clients think that the studio is, once it's open, I'm coming back, but
Damn.
I guess this is an announcement that I'm not coming back.
Oh, yeah.
But so I think that was a big turning point for me. So I went to I had tried Hollywood stuff before, which I enjoyed working with Jeremiah at his house, and these things I did like. But then I went. So you know Dave Fio.
Yeah.
He was working with a studio that was partnered with Interscope in Miami, and they ended up. They really liked me working with him, and they wanted to contract me to work other jobs. So in that studio, it was all celebrities in there, Spot 'em Got 'em, and Kodak Black, and guys like this. And when I got to finally work with all these guys, it was like, I guess I've built this up in my head for like 10 years. Like, this is where I need to go. I need to work with all these celebrities, and this is the destination. And then I got in that room. They all treated me like complete shit. I didn't take that part personal, but I realized the job didn't change at all. And they actually, I mean, at least at that studio, had less talent than the talent I was already working with. I thought it would be like at a higher level or something like this, and it wasn't. It was like the same job with just people with bigger egos that were more rude and actually trying to pay me less than, significantly less than what I was making here. So I was like, man, this is maybe not my goal. And then since I didn't have a further point to try to reach, I felt like I really didn't maybe want to pursue it so much longer.
What do you mean? Like, so you're producing for these major artists like Kodak Black and stuff like that. What do you mean they're not treating you good? Like, what does that mean?
Like, so at least where I was at, like the engineer scene was kind of like, hey, you just push buttons, like don't say anything. They didn't like treat you like a person. They didn't greet me in the room. Like they didn't say hi or talk to me. It was just like, do this, very like condescending, rude, but then nice to everybody else around them. So it was like a weird environment. And I was like, I'm just here to work. Why do you hate me?
Were they pressing out features or were they pressing out their own singles?
Their own singles.
And they were still doing that shit?
Yeah.
Features I understand because they're getting paid to be there. They don't give a fuck. But if they're making singles, I figured they want to communicate with the engineer, right?
Yeah. And I'm sure not everybody's like that. And not every person I work with was like that. Like Jeremiah was like one of the coolest guys. He let me sleep in his house, like, because I didn't have a spot to stay in LA, and like, was just very welcoming. Like, came in, hugged me. I'm sure not everyone's like that. I might be painting a bad picture, but that was just a point where I could kind of see like, oh, a lot of it's gonna be like this.
I've been on like some movie sets and it was kind of weird. I mean, I was an extra in the movie, but I didn't like how they were talking to me, son. They were like asking, they're like, who can do a good like punch or a kick? And then I rose my hand and like, no, not you. And it was just like it was just like that. It wasn't even like it wasn't even like, just ignore me, bro. Why'd you have to say it like, why'd you have to disgrace me in front of her? Like, but I can see it. Like sometimes it's just about cutting to what the fuck they need to do and not building relationships unless they feel like they want to build a relationship with you.
Yeah, it didn't seem really personable, and that's one thing. I mean, I guess anytime you're working with celebrities, they have so much people. I mean, you're a celebrity now, but they have so many people surrounding them all the time that people start to become unimportant to them, and I do understand that. But I value relationships and people a lot, so it's just an environment I want to be around.
Yeah, I'm starting to learn that too, man. Like, you know, there's your own humanistic aspect of how you want to live your life, and sometimes the industry you're in conflicts with that idea. So you might want to be a guy that's like really, you know, about unity and bringing people together and joyfulness and fun. But then you're in an industry where it's like a lot of people are not behaving in that same manner. So there's nothing wrong with you guys not acting in that same manner, but I don't want to be a part of that. It's not something, you just start suffering over time. I was just telling my boy yesterday, I was like, bro, I was chilling in my basement. I was like, yo, bro, I just made $1,000 doing nothing. And I was like, and I'm fucking miserable. And he was like, why? I was like, bro, I was just doing music reviews. I'm fucking miserable. He's like, you just made a rack, bro. You're chilling. I was like, I don't give a fuck. I hate this part of it. Like, there's other parts of it that people don't understand comes with what I do.
That was when you first did it, or this was
No, it was
recently?
yesterday, dude. I jumped back into it. I was like, music review, Sunday night, live.
I was on there.
And then, like, I got so many death threats after. I was like, oh my God, I forgot why I fucking stopped doing this. Like, there's so much bullshit that comes with doing it that you're like, no, I come from a place where, like, I want, you know, certain joyful vibes, relaxed vibes, easefulness, but you're dealing in it with an industry where it's like, it usually doesn't come with it. It doesn't go hand in hand with hip hop and rap all the time.
No, not at all. I that's probably the biggest thing that turned me off about it. I didn't want to end up like that. I mean, a lot of the fucking no, fuck it. I'll say whatever I want. A lot of fucking celebrities that I've been around, like if you weren't famous, like they're like tools, or like dude, like no one would ever hang out with you the way you're acting. Like a lot of the time you run into that. But since they're famous, they're up here. And I don't care if you're rich or broke or lazy as fuck or ambitious as fuck. I want to hang out with you because you're like, of who you are, you know?
Yeah, and I think people fall into the trap of seeking validation from those types of people, and then the real way to get their validation is by not giving a fuck about them. And if they don't get, and even if you do get the validation, who gives a fuck? But at least, like, you just stood who you were instead of trying to, like, conform to make this person fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard, though, when you know, surrounded by titties and all the cash and all that shit, and you're just watching them like, oh, my God, how do I get in that circle for 10 seconds? But it's not worth it, bro. Most people don't realize there's misery that just accumulates with this shit. Like, if you get too deep into it, it's like a river of misery. If you go towards something only for the money, or towards something that you're finding success in but makes you miserable as a human. So that kind of brings me to a question, like, you were doing great here at Parallel, you're killing it, everybody wants to book you. Why did you be like, all right, I gotta bounce?
I think it ultimately came down to, like, okay, so like I said earlier, I didn't get into music to make money. And I've reflected on this a bit over the last year. I've quit. I've been done for about a year and a half. And so I didn't get into it for money. I really wanted to be a part of really good records and artists who were making good art. I knew a portion of it had to be about money. I was going to work with shitty people and say it was fucking good or whatever, you know? But I knew that was going to be a portion, but what ended up happening, I ended up being surrounded like 99% of the time with artists who made it about money. It wasn't necessarily that they were bad, because a lot of them were good, but they were just trying to make money. So, like, an example I could give is, like, say it's like a gangster rapper, right, who's really dope in that realm. And then he would want to make an R&B song because he thinks that's what people need to hear. He needs a song for the girls, but he fucking sucks at that.
Yeah.
And then they ended up basing all their career off what they think people wanted to hear. Maybe they tried something different. They got a little bit more clout off of that, and then they wanted to follow that lane because they were chasing clout, not chasing good music.
Right.
And there was no authenticity to anything I was making, and I hated it, you know?
I was just thinking about that this morning because, I mean, I make music. I'm in a band and everything like that. We make music off pure, just like we want to make it, not for any reason. We're like a failure band technically because nobody knows who the fuck we are and we haven't made a dollar. We spent way more money than we've made, so we're like a failure band. But it made me realize something. I think there really is 6 types of artists. I think that there's the guys that are truly artists, and whatever they create, they don't care if anybody likes it or hates it. They're going to keep creating regardless.
Yeah.
You might not even see what they created, but they're still going to keep creating, right? Then you got the next guy who's basically like almost like the first guy. He's an artist. He wants to express himself, but he does care about validation. He does care about what the audience thinks. So he might change some of his style or some of what he's putting out in the world so that people accept him more, right? So he's already been kind of jeopardized. Then you got the next guy who's half foot in, half foot out, where like he doesn't know if he wants to be a part of it or not. He has a little bit of tricks up his sleeves, but he's not really like cutting it fully. Then you got the guys who know it's a business. It's called show business for a reason, right? These guys know it's about making money, so they figure out how to make money. And then you got the last guy who it just fell in his lap. Like he didn't even plan to be a rapper. He didn't even plan to be a musician, but he just ended up being one. Which you never want to be that guy. I think you really want to be the first guy, which is the true artist, and then you want to add that business element to it. And that's how you succeed. The most talented, pure people that figured out how to make money off their music, those guys are always the ones who succeed versus anybody else. You know, and so with what you're saying, it's like you got exposed to the fact that a lot of people are just doing this for the fucking money. And it has to be frustrating because you're not doing it for the money, but you're working with somebody who's only doing it for the fucking money.
Yeah, and they're also doing it like spending 5 years doing it for the money, but not making any money. So I'm like, why the fuck are you doing it? You've just went terribly in debt, and it didn't make sense to me. I completely agree with you that you need the showbiz aspect, but don't make music unless you love making music, because there's a massive chance that you never make money, and you just spend a bunch of money on it. So you better love it, enjoy the journey. Don't just be trying to. I don't know. I genuinely try to put I know that's not everyone can do that, but I genuinely try to only make decisions of things that I want to do because I want to do it and not because I want to make money. You know?
That's the way that everybody should live, obviously, but you know they gotta pay the fucking bills. You know what I'm saying? That's like kind of what you said earlier. Like you took the shitty clients because you knew it's the only way you could fund what the fuck you're trying to actually accomplish. Right? You have to the small fish feed the big fish, whatever the fuck, and also the concept of you either pay to play or you get paid to play, and that's the two ways the industry works. It doesn't work any other damn way. Either you're paying to stay in the system, stay in the game, or you know what I'm saying, somebody's paying you because you're sweet. Now, when you quit, did you have a bed in your bed moment? Like, fuck, I'm out of this bitch?
24. I still do.
Really?
I mean, all the time I was like, I didn't even quit it this is why I've never told my clients that I was quitting, because I didn't know if I was making the right decision. Because I spent over 10 years trying to do this. I spent many years doing it for free, and then many years making nothing, just a little bit to get by. And I was like, I'm finally here. I'm making great fucking money. And I was making good money for years before I quit. But still, just walking away from that, I knew 100% I was going to do this for the rest of my life, and then I had no clue what I wanted to do too. Like the promotion, the Fight League is just new. Where when I walked away, I was like, I don't know, I'll figure something out. And then for many months, I tried figuring something out, and nothing was coming.
Yeah, that's a thing that you're working on right now. So basically, just to give people insight, Muay Thai has become like legalized for fighting events
in Michigan. Yeah, they just sanctioned allowing you to host events. They actually sanctioned about a year ago, but no one's put them on yet.
So you're going to be hosting and running an event where basically it's a Muay Thai match.
Yes.
And so it was banned in Michigan. How many other states was it banned in?
So more or less not sanctioned rather than banned. I wouldn't call it banned. It was just that there was no sanctioning board, no one that created it to get it legalized, like to put all the documentation and shit forward.
Okay.
And there's many states that it's not sanctioned in yet. It's now becoming really popular sport. People don't know. A lot of people don't know what it is. So now that it's becoming a lot more popular, people are sanctioning it. So yeah, it's gonna be a fight league. So it's not just one. We'll be hosting an event probably by next year every month. But as of right now, every 5 or 6 weeks.
So this is completely yours? Like, are you the head of this thing?
I'm co-owner.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But did you come up with the concept as well, or was it just like somebody else? So you're two people on this thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my business partner Noah Salma, he's co-owning it. He's doing all like the financial work and stuff like that, and he invested a lot into it. And then I'm doing like everything organization-wise.
I think you posted a clip of Joe Rogan talking about Muay Thai. Mm-hmm. And how he said it could take over.
Yeah. So basically what Muay Thai is everything you want out of a MMA fight when you watch the UFC, like without wrestling. You know, there's no ground game grappling. Everything else is legal. And now it's done in 4-ounce tiny gloves, just like the UFC.
Sick.
So it's just a fight. That's all Muay Thai. The name Muay Thai, I genuinely thought of like getting rid of the fucking name and going with like a stand-up fight league or something, because all Muay Thai is a stand-up fight, hands, kicks, elbows, knees, no wrestling, no grappling.
So you can't like stop somebody by just holding them and just hugging them, or like getting into crazy ass like cross arm bars and shit like that.
Nope. No.
So it's like boxing. It's like kickboxing.
It's like kickboxing, except you have elbows, knees, and you can throw people onto the ground.
Okay.
You can still take them there, but you have to just stand back up.
So if somebody gets thrown on the ground, you can just get on top of them and punch them, or just kick the shit out of them the whole time.
No, if they go to the ground, ref stops it. They got to stand back up and fight.
Okay.
But I think a lot of times in MMA, you see, at least for the fan-friendly side of it, you see someone just sitting on someone and holding them a lot, and it's just not fun to watch. At least in my opinion. I mean, I think jiu-jitsu athletes and wrestling athletes love that aspect of it. There's obviously always going to be a massive fan base, but I think there's a big, for people who are fans of striking and stand-up fights, it's very brutal. On top of it, I mean, it's definitely the most brutal sport in the world. And grappling is a really like it takes a lot of time to get good at grappling, and you get a higher return on investment when you put hours into striking than rather if you do in grappling. So if you want to be an MMA fighter where jiu-jitsu and wrestling and these things are involved in the sport, you have to spend a large portion of your time doing that. Now, if you're just a striker, you spend all of your time just striking. So these guys hit, no lie, maybe 5 or 6 times harder than MMA guys. So there's just so much more blood and concussions, and it's a very brutal sport. So I think people are going to appeal to it. The only reason they don't is because Muay Thai is massively popular everywhere besides the U.S. So there's no U.S. champions.
Is there proof
one
of
championship.
Is there proof of concept in the U.S.? Like, has anybody seen anybody establish an event coordination for this and it's failed, or like there wasn't an audience or something?
Yeah, there's tons of promotions there. That's another reason I started it. I mean, like, the number one reason is because I love Muay Thai. But number two, that there is a bunch of promotions, and I genuinely think they're doing a terrible job. There's no trying to capture an audience. There's no, the video production quality is really terrible on all of them. They're just very small. So they are here. It just hasn't excelled. And there's a lot of American fighters that went over there, but 99% of the time they get starts at the really high levels.
So do you think that with what you're seeing in other cities that do it, even though they're doing this bad promotions or whatever, do you still see that they're filling up seats? Like, is it substantial enough, or do you feel like it's a quarter of what you could be doing, like, when you're looking at these guys?
I think no, they're really not filling up seats. There's maybe a couple like Warriors Cup in New York that are, but I think they're doing such a bad job that it's like a poor way to measure it, because I don't plan to do anything how they're doing it.
What are you going to call the league?
It's Mitten Muay Thai.
Mitten Muay Thai. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So you guys are going to be doing at least eventually one match a month.
Yes.
How do you get these fighters? Where do you find these guys? How do you find your rosters?
Yeah, so this has been a very challenging aspect of starting this business because, well, first off, no one has ever thrown a Muay Thai fight here. I don't know anyone who's ever hosted a fight that's not like in my friend group, and there's nowhere I can like Google online like how to start a fight promotion, you know? So I've been really just having to figure all of this out. So I did end up, luckily, since I fought in Muay Thai, I knew a lot of the fighters from a lot of the gyms. So through that, I was able to make a lot of connections and start matchmaking people. I just basically went around and called and messaged every gym in the area to try to get fighters.
Wow.
And luckily, most of them were very drawn to it since it's the first one. And this is, guys been practicing Muay Thai here for 20 years. They want it to be here, And most of these gyms are filled with people, and they have never even seen a Muay Thai fight.
And they're not afraid to go out and actually do a real match where they could fucking get a concussion and blow their nose out.
The actual fighters?
Yeah.
No.
They don't give a fuck?
I mean, they give a fuck. Fighting is terrifying.
Yeah.
It's not a bar fight, Like you might not be scared to punch somebody in the face at the bar who's also completely untrained like yourself, but when you're going to fight this guy, he knows how to hurt you. He's been training for years to hurt you. It's terrifying. Every fighter who walks in there is scared. It's just a courage aspect.
Are you going to fight?
No, I won't. I probably won't be. I might hop into some fights, man. I definitely didn't do enough, and I miss fighting a lot, and I didn't do enough in it that I wanted to do, but I will definitely just be focusing on this for a year or so.
Yeah, because you were doing your own fighting for a while on Instagram. Like, there would always be some shots of you in the cage, bloody noses, fucking just fighting. Like, you look like ready to go on that motherfucker.
Yeah, I love the sport. I mean, it's definitely the best thing I've ever
No
done.
helmets and stuff, obviously, when they're fighting, just straight up.
For this fight coming up?
The one, the event you got coming up?
Yeah, February 2nd. No, there would be no helmets. That's another thing. The rule set here in Michigan is pretty fucking brutal. So even for amateur fighters who don't have experience like that, there's most of the promotions, they have these thin little elbow pads on that protect people from cuts and stuff because elbows just slice you open. There's none of that here. So it's just a brutal fight. And we put all the high-level guys on.
So how do you figure you're going to get this? I mean, I look at it like this, right? Like, filling up seats is one huge aspect of what makes these things continue, but then another huge aspect is TV or getting it placed somewhere where people can watch it from home, right? So with the level of brutality, are there networks that would pick it up?
Yeah, there's already networks picking it up. That is not in my goal at all for at least the first couple of years. My main goal is I want to scale intelligently. Like, a lot of promotions, I think they tried jumping the gun too soon and being this national promotion without the money to be a national promotion.
Right.
My goal is, can we make this popular in even just Metro Detroit, and then we'll move on from there? Can we get a couple thousand people to come out there?
Yeah, well, look what I caught you at a fight before. It was at the Transformation Lab, and they literally had like a boxing match. What was it, like 100, 200, maybe 100 to 300 people there?
Yeah.
And it was just like a boxing match.
And that was an
with headgear.
illegal underground smoker fight.
That was illegal?
Yeah, that wasn't sanctioned at all. There was no real referees, judges, anything.
That was crazy. But a few hundred people showed up to watch the shit, and if people are going to show up to that, you know what I'm saying? Like, why wouldn't they? I think it's all about the purse, right? And it's also about who's fighting, and if they can bring their people. And since you're already affiliated with everybody, it's easy to kind of just tell everybody to fucking pull up, right?
Yeah, and on top of that, Muay Thai is such a tight-knit community that supports each other. So, like, our entire staff is working off volunteer work and for free. Everybody just wants to see people know what it is because nobody even knows what the fuck it is. So there's so many hobbyists and so many people who train Muay Thai and love Muay Thai in Michigan through all these gyms, and they've never been to a fight, and I can almost guarantee that they're gonna all come. They want to come see a fight. So I mean, we plan at least 1,000 people to come, but we're hoping it's more.
Yeah, so 1,000 people would be fucking pretty sweet, right? And then you got celebrity matches that are going to happen, so they're going to be able to pull in people. I'm going to be fighting, just so everybody knows. Me and Primo Beats are actually going to be doing some Muay Thai in the ring. Me and Primo Beats have like a long-going beef that hasn't really fully ended. It's still in the continue, and so hopefully this will kind of wrap things up between me and the issues I have with Preem Guy.
Have you ever thrown a elbow or a kick?
No.
So first try.
Yeah. Well, you know my brother fights, so I'm gonna get a lot of training from my brother.
Nice.
My brother is like almost a black belt, so I'm sure he's gonna be able to. Actually, I talked to Primo about that on the phone a couple days ago. I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna whoop your ass, man, in front of like 1,000 people." He's like, "I don't know about all that, bro. We'll see what happens." I was like, "All right, better show up, dude." The thing is, if you get the right people there, you know, you just get so many people invested. Like, there's so much. The thing that's cool about Detroit is you have so many different communities of people that have star power that can come to your event and make it bigger and bigger and bigger and bring their own audience there, right? Some places don't have what Detroit has.
Yeah.
We have like 30 guys that can bring 1,000 people alone.
Yeah, a bunch of
each.
local celebs. And that's what I love about being in the music industry with this, because we're going to attempt to try to work a lot of deals with brand ambassadors who take good percentage of ticket sales to bring people out to these events.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All these weed brands, dude. Are you fucking kidding me? These guys are going to be fucking... Now, is this like any type of way... Any inspiration from Dana White or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. I think, Dana White is... So I follow one championship more than the UFC, but the UFC, as far as showmanship... Okay, so people would much rather watch someone fight that they know than watch a really good fight. It doesn't matter how good that fight is. You would rather watch a shitty fight of someone you're really invested in. UFC does a really good job of that. I mean, to shock everyone, I don't think UFC has the best fighters in the world, but they have the best showmanship in the world, and they make everyone believe that those are the best fighters in the world. One Championship does a really good job of making the best fighters in the world fight each other. But I don't know if that is so important, because at the end of the day, professional fighting, not amateur fighting, professional fighting is about making money. Like, these guys are risking, they're all will have brain damage. They're risking lots of things. You got to get paid, you know? And without showmanship, without people investing in you, you'll never make money in this, you know?
Yeah, there's a certain level of competence that needs to be seen to get these guys in the rotation and keep them there. Because, like, even if you look at major sports, like, there's the NHL and the NBA are supposed to be known as the elite of the elite, right? Like, those are the best players in the world. But actually, in other countries, they have players that will one-on-one beat an NBA player or are better than the NBA player, but they might either, like, the place that they're playing in, be getting paid more money, or whatever the circumstance might be. So there's a lot of reasons why I can see that side of the UFC having not the best fighters all the time, but just great showmanship and the competence for it to be just like a very smooth program to watch.
Yeah.
They know what's in their roster. They know they can rely on these guys to do what they got to do.
Like, you know Khabib?
Yeah, of course.
Like, believe it or not, there is hundreds of Khabibs out there in Dagestan. And if you notice, every one of those guys who come, they just dominate and become champions. Now, if UFC wanted to put the best fighters in the world, they would fill the roster with these guys, but that would be boring as fuck to watch.
Well, look at it like this, right? Who's a better actor? Arnold Schwarzenegger or Al Pacino?
Al Pacino.
Yeah, of course. Al Pacino's a way fucking better actor
way
than Arnold
better.
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
But Arnold Schwarzenegger right now would probably sell more seats at a theater just because of his fucking name and the clout that he's built all over this time. More people are more likely to go watch an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie over an Al Pacino movie right now. And trust me, Al Pacino's been dropping movies. Nobody's watching that shit.
He's been dropping movies?
Yeah.
I was like, both these guys are irrelevant. What are you talking about?
Well, no, Arnold just dropped a TV series that's fucking sick, dude.
Oh,
like,
is
his
he?
movies coming out. Like, he's still killing it. I mean, he is kind of irrelevant, but like, you're gonna go watch him in a theater versus a fucking Al Pacino movie that's gonna go straight to DVD.
I didn't know he grew so much recently.
Who, Arnold?
Yeah.
No, he's huge.
I haven't been paying
He's got a cool TV show, but basically my whole point is, like, it's not really about the skill as much as it is about the name that's selling the fight. That's my whole point. Like, the person selling the fight is more important than how much skill they actually have. Conor McGregor, I'm sure there's a ton of guys who could whoop his ass, but I'm going to watch a Conor McGregor fight for so many fucking different reasons.
Yeah,
Him as a
100%.
person, his history, what he's been through. I want to see him knock somebody the fuck out. Then you got somebody like Jake Paul or Logan Paul. I want to see these guys get their fucking asses whooped.
100%.
Right? That's why I watch the fight. I don't watch them because they're the best or anything about their skill factor. I literally watch them because I want to see them lose.
But you're invested, you know?
Exactly. So it's just like, that's the conversation when it comes to booking the talent and booking the cards. It's like, not always about the best. Sometimes it's really about who's gonna fucking put people's butts in the seats, right? At the end of the day, the rap game is kind of like that too. I was just telling my friend, he's like, I don't understand why rappers don't do features with like upcoming like R&B artists or something like that. He's like, why don't they just bring us up? And I was like, because when they go spend $5,000 making a song and shooting a video for it, if they don't get their money back on YouTube, then they're going to be fucking pissed. So they'd rather team up with somebody who's going to bring views versus bringing you who has no views
Yeah.
to come in. Now
It's
you
a
really,
business.
it's a fucking business, right? At the end of the day, that's how boxing matches all work, right? Like, everybody wants to see Floyd Mayweather get knocked the fuck out, right?
Yeah,
Nobody
but
wants to watch Floyd Mayweather actually fight.
boxing is probably the biggest example of being the best fighter is fucking irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like, which is sad to see, you know, for all the guys who want to be the best in the world. But if you want to make money in fighting, being the best in the world is quite irrelevant. You can actually be a very terrible fighter. And I mean, the Paul brothers are the highest paid fighters.
Yeah.
They're fucking dog shit.
They changed the game. They changed the game. They literally were like, we got proof that clout can sell out an arena. They fucking use their YouTube star power and their internet star power to get in a boxing ring. But like, I like what Joe Rogan, he basically said, like, they kind of saved boxing, because if it wasn't for them, who the fuck is watching any boxing match?
100%. You need people like that.
Yeah. It's interesting, man. I I like the idea that you're doing too, and I think if you develop it right, it could be something huge. Like you're gonna have the whole thing, right? You're gonna have announcers. You're gonna have fucking cameras out recording.
So for this event, since I was so, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So my best solution was hire go way over our budget and hire people who really know what they're doing. So I hired the best announcer I could find, who's just a full-time announcer. I instead of getting ring girls, hired a company to do ring girls. Instead of trying to set up the lighting ourselves, we hired an event lighting company. We hired an event sound company. Stefan, he owns a video production company, and they're doing full video production for it. And then eventually we'll start to, be more cost effective and try to replace these people with some of our own people, because just sourcing they have sales reps and owners who have to make a profit. We can do it way cheaper, but I wanted to set the bar for this first event to know what we need to reach when we try to employ and do these things ourselves,
Yeah.
So this will be full blown production,
Once that content gets on the internet and it looks fucking great, everybody's gonna look at you guys and be like, what the fuck's going on over there? Like, how do we get involved with this? And that's the whole goal of setting the bar high at the first one, which is really fucking cool, bro. Imagine like any fucking fighter seeing that shit and be like, I want to be in that shit.
Yeah.
Like, how are you gonna get this are you just gonna post clips when you guys after the fights? Like, are you guys just gonna promote the fuck out of it?
We'll post the whole fights and we'll post clips. We have probably 60, 70 pieces of content that are going to start coming out here soon that we've been working on. But the fight content's going to be super important, so we're not sparing any expense as far as video production goes. Okay, so there might not be any money in Muay Thai right now, but in amateur fighting, right? Like amateur MMA, like even local shows, let's say like Clip, for example, they don't do any video production for their fighters. They don't do any marketing. Their Instagram, I think, has like 300 followers where they market. And they sell out about 2,500 seats. They're making maybe 150,000 a show or so, hosting many of these a year. It's $1 million company with. I just know that we can do this better than even the MMA show. So I think when people see our productions, I think they'll want to transfer over, because at the end of the day, especially in amateur fighting, but we have professional fights too, but say amateur or low-level professionals, exposure is what's important. So if you're going and fighting in a cage at a casino and no one films it, no one sees it, what did that do for your career? It didn't do anything. There's no exposure there.
Yeah, that's another incentive, right, to be a part of this. People are gonna see it, hear about it. There's gonna be like, how are you guys gonna keep track of records? And this is your own system, right?
Yes. So we'll have a roster of fighters that we'll be developing throughout time, and a belt system, just very exactly how you would run the UFC at a very, very, very small level.
Do you guys already have the first card set up? Do you guys already have like matches?
Yeah,
and everything?
there's 15 fights matched on the first card. There's gonna be so we had to include a decent amount of debuts, because with this being the first show in Michigan and all the fighters having to travel to Chicago to fight, they don't have a lot of fights, a lot of experience. So it was hard to get our really experienced guys matched, but we wanted it. We wanted to display like good fighters, like people who can really hurt somebody, So we matched them, but we could only get 8 really high-level fights on there. The rest are going to be debuts, like first-time fighters, second, third-time fighters. That they're going to be on the prelim. So if you only want to watch high-level fights, you can come to the main event. We will be announcing the time. I don't have it for sure, but I believe it's going to be about 8:30 p.m. and then 9:30 p.m. and then the prelims will start at 8.
Do you think with the first fight, like what was the UFC, like what was it called originally? Wasn't it called something else at first? Wasn't the UFC something?
Yeah, it was. What the fuck was it UFC called at first?
It was.
I thought he was like Jamie. Like,
Hey, pull up the first one. What was, let me see. I'll do it. What was UFC?
The UFC called first.
Well, that's not gonna fucking do it. No. What was UFC called? What was it? What the fuck was it called?
Fighting, what?
No, that's Ultimate Fighter.
Whatever the fuck it was called. The whole point is, remember when it first started, I was like a sumo wrestler versus like a guy with one boxing glove?
Yeah, it's so fucking cool. That's amazing.
But like I wonder, because the first is going to be a clusterfuck. because it just has to be. It's not like everything's just gonna go fucking right.
Oh, 100%.
Do you think do you think it's like a benefit in this day and age to have a clusterfuck, efficient clusterfuck, where it's like it's still fucking crazy as fuck, but like it didn't go like as professionally as planned? Like, or do you think like these days everybody wants to see like, no, we want to see that you have everything down to a T, like as far as investors, producers, people watching, people wanting to get involved?
I mean, I think people would, at least fighters would want me to have fighters and coaches would want me to have things as involved as possible. No, I think they would want to see a higher level of production. You know, they don't want to see a clusterfuck. You know, those can get the biggest problem with clusterfuck sometimes in shows that we're being very careful not to run into. They get boring. So you start fucking things up. Maybe fighters aren't ready to fight on time, and you're just sitting around like looking at an empty ring and things like that. Clusterfucks in fighting can make the show really boring.
From what you've seen from people who are fighting in this style, there's footage of Muay Thai fights and matches and stuff?
Oh yeah, it's massive.
And what's the worst damage you've seen done so far?
Oh, I mean, I don't know about. I mean, breaking legs is probably the worst because these guys kick so much harder than MMA fighters, So for people who don't know, if you're gonna block a kick, and I know that still sounds painful, but it's more painful for them. You're gonna block it with the top of your shin here, and they're gonna kick into your shin, and where they're trying to hit the fat part of your leg, either here or here, you're gonna turn in and block here. And when these are blocked right, it'll break the other person's leg.
Oh my god!
Directly in half. So those are really disgusting injuries. And then, I mean, I've had a good amount of concussions, so anytime I see someone just not clean the fuck out, it's just bad. They have really brutal elbows. Most people who watch UFC, those guys aren't too good at elbows. Maybe Matt Brown is. But at Muay Thai, they are really good at elbows, so you see people getting sliced open with them all the time.
Oh my god!
And for people who don't know, like, if you've never watched it, Muay Thai has significantly more viewership and is significantly bigger in the UFC everywhere besides America. But American money brings UFC way more dollars. But Muay Thai is close up there, like bigger than NASCAR, close up there like with NFL and stuff like
Muay
that.
Thai?
Muay Thai.
And other countries and shit?
In pretty much every country, but here it's massive in Canada. It's massive in all of Europe, all of Asia. I mean, like Thailand, where it originated from, these people all start fighting when they're 5. You can watch a fight every day of the week in any city you're in.
Wow.
It's a massive
That's
thing.
cool, though, that Canada has it rocking because you can just cross over, right?
Yeah, so we're kind of like going on this journey of 4-ounce gloves. We have a meeting with the commission December 7th, and we're trying to get transferred over to the little gloves because nobody has ever been able to legalize the 4-ounce gloves in Muay Thai in America or in Canada or Mexico. So in Canada, they have a massive Muay Thai scene, and when they have to fight with 10-ounce gloves, you know, when they go and fight overseas where all the big promotions are, they have to fight in little gloves. So they don't have that experience. So by the time they're stepping into the big arenas, this is the first time they're experiencing getting hit with these little gloves, and it can be a shocker for a lot of them. So we're hoping to get professionals the 4-ounce gloves by this event, and then they can come over here and train and experience that type of competition.
What's 4 ounce? Like 2 ranch cups? Like, what the fuck?
4 ounce it's just so you don't break your knuckles.
Oh, okay.
That's all
So
it is.
that-
It's
when you
about
talk-
this thin of padding.
Okay, so when you're talking about 4 ounces, you're talking about the knuckles aspect of it.
Yep, how much padding goes on.
Oh, shit, dude.
Yeah, it's very, very tiny, very brutal.
I'm assuming it's because it's lethal. That's why they're not trying to get it down to that, right? Like 4 ounce.
I think that's why no commissions have done it yet in America.
And so what's the other option for, and what's the other one?
8, all the way up to 16, but we're gonna do 8s, which is still real tiny, but they're boxing gloves, but they're just really small boxing gloves.
Yeah, that's cool. So because these guys don't have to pay attention to the technique of grappling and everything, they just focus on striking the fuck out of people. Like, you just beat somebody's ass pretty much with your just arms and legs, right?
Yeah, and so anytime you introduce movement when you're fighting, so you gain power from balance, planning your weight, and turning your weight into shots. When you introduce wrestling, you have to move a lot. You don't want them to be able to shoot on you. So when you don't have to move so much, you can sit on your shots, really turn your weight into everything, and it just increases damage by a lot, like a massive amount. I mean, guys walk out of one championships all the time, their face just looks completely deformed.
Even the winner?
Yeah.
Fuck.
They both come out fucked up.
That's fucked up. It's a bloodbath, son.
Yes.
So people are
And not all of them are, but that's at the highest level.
How often did you see people break their legs?
It's not like crazy common. It's a lot more common than in other combat sports, but I would say definitely happens a handful of times a year.
Damn, that's fucking crazy. So you're pretty much your career can kind of end by joining the sport. Like if you fucking break your leg, like you're out for a long ass time. Right?
Yeah, and then
Sucks.
good luck trying to.
That fucking sucks, man. It sounds like a terrible deal. Why would I want to do it?
I'd rather break my leg than develop brain damage. So I think that's the only thing fighters are worried about. Fighters are much less worried about, those type of injuries than concussions.
Just run people through the basics of Muay Thai rounds, times. How long do each round? How long does each round go, and how many rounds do usually guys go up to?
So they're going to be 3-round fights, and unless it's for a title, then it's going to be 5-round fights. And the rounds for amateurs will be 3 2-minute rounds, and the rounds for professionals will be 3 3-minute rounds.
And did you get that format from other fighting?
This is the regulation that the state put in.
Oh, so regulation, so they come up with, you have to follow by their time and like all that shit for rounds and stuff like that?
So we had to put up like a really big bond of money to start this promotion, and they gave us 54 pages of regulations to follow, and if we break them, they take our money.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah, they have 6 state inspectors there making sure we do everything to the T. So there's a lot of little planning that goes into it.
How much planning are you doing every single day up to the point of the fight?
I'm working on about 10, 12 hours a day.
10 to 12 hours a day, pretty much just focused on it, honed in on it.
Yeah. So right now I have a team right now who's helping me a lot, but as far as figuring out the details, a lot of that's on me. So it's just been nonstop work. I think any startups are like that though.
Has anybody died in the sport?
Yes.
God damn it.
I mean, even as an amateur, about every year somebody dies in it.
What's usually the cause of death?
Brain damage.
Straight up, like on the scene, like
second concussion syndrome.
Is it so? It's not on the actual floor that they pass away. It's usually like they'll go to the hospital and then they.
No, sometimes right there.
God, dude.
So this year in Michigan, there was an amateur boxing event, and a guy. He must have had too many concussions in the gym, because what you don't see when the fighters step in there is that they've been fighting multiple times a day, every single day prior to stepping in there. So a lot of guys get concussions in the gym when we're training to go fight. And he must have. So second concussion syndrome is when you have too many concussions back to back. That's why you normally have to have a grace period before you fight again. And so this guy must have had a concussion before he stepped in the ring. Got hit, fell to his knees, fell into a coffin and died. Coma, and then fell right into the coffin. Took him out.
That's crazy.
He fell into a coma and died 10 days.
WWF or something? Like,
and this is
crazy.
only. They have coffins right on the ring.
That's what
If
it
you
sounded
die,
like.
they just throw your ass.
When
in
you were
there.
saying it, I literally just thought about that. I was like, holy shit, that's what they're doing out there? Like, what the fuck?
No, he went into a coma, and he was an amateur and only had a couple fights.
That sucks.
Yeah.
So UFC doesn't really have that, right? Like nobody's dying in the UFC, right?
No, but MMA does have it happen. It's a lot less common because, so I know for a casual who doesn't watch fighting, so you see the little gloves and they cut people up and they cause knockouts a lot faster, right? But that is actually significantly better for your brain than, let's say, a boxer. Like when you walk into Detroit boxing gyms, like for the most part, most of those guys you walk in there, they're stuttering their words, they have bad brain damage. Man, I might just be promoting like fucking making this sport illegal, but But when you're getting hit in the head and you're not going to sleep, those repeated rattles of your brain over and over and over is really what ends up causing the problems. Fighting is very dangerous. You should never play fighting, you know? Like, it should...
Leave it to the pros.
Yeah, you got to really love it if you're going to go in there and risk it.
I was reading that, I forget which NFL player, but he said he has had over 1,000 concussions. And, like, everybody's like, what the fuck? That's not even possible. But apparently concussions aren't just, like, brain-induced. Like, they can also, if you get hit in the body or your body gets shaken up, that can be considered a concussion as well.
Yeah,
'Cause
as you get them, it's more likely to get them.
What is it?
As you get them, it's more likely that you keep getting them.
Yeah, so imagine you're taking these crazy-ass leg hits to your body, shaking up your whole system, and then you're getting plowed to the head and all that shit. I think the cool part about it is it's the most barbaric, like, thing that you can bring to the table, right? Like, this is the most barbaric style of fighting that you can bring legally to TV or to, like, an audience, right?
Yeah, is
he more barbaric than that?
I don't think there's anything that jiu-jitsu guys are gonna hate me for this, but fucking I don't think there's anything about jiu-jitsu or wrestling that is fighting, because to me fighting is about damage and hurting someone. I don't care about any type of skill or anything. Like, skill is extremely important, but at the end of the day, to me, a fight is hurting your opponent. You know, who can walk out of here, right? And there's none of that in jiu-jitsu or wrestling. So when you completely remove that part of it, you only have the hurting aspect. It's only a game of pain, you know, and technique.
Do jiu-jitsu guys respect Muay Thai?
Normally there's a bit of a good rivalry in every gym from strikers and grapplers that so yeah, I would say they respect it, but there's definitely a rivalry that their sport is more dominant. And for the record, I do think grappling is more dominant than Muay Thai if it comes down to like a street scenario or self-defense type of thing. Grappling, there's just high-level grapplers that I can stand up and beat the shit out of all day, and I've grappled for years, you know, and they will just annihilate me because grappling is just number one.
So if you're in a street scenario where a guy comes up to you and he's trying to mug you, you would rather have grappling skills over striking skills?
I guess if I had to do a hard pick, but if it was up to me, do a bit of boxing, because every fight starts on the feet, and spend a lot of time grappling if you wanted to work on it for self-defense in that sport, you know.
Yeah. What did Batman practice? Batman had like a fighting style. I forget what it was.
Fucking shit out of everybody.
No, the Christian Bale version of Batman actually had like a fighting style. I forget what it's called. It starts with a K. But it was like...
Tempo?
What is it?
Tempo, maybe?
No.
Aikido?
Aikido. Well, no, I don't think it was Aikido.
Look it up.
Yeah. What? See what
Christian Bale, right?
Christian Bale's fighting style was in Dark Knight. But it's actually like a lot of people don't respect it as actual real...
Krav Maga?
I think it is Krav Maga. I'm not...
Probably, maybe.
It might
I'm
be...
almost there. Hold on.
Yeah. Dude, I should get a projector in this bitch and just be like, yeah. Sometimes I'm like watching the Joe Rogan podcast. Did you figure that?
No. It's okay.
Sometimes I'm watching the Joe Rogan podcast and you notice how he treats Jamie like shit sometimes when he talks to him?
I've always noticed that because I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan.
Yeah.
KFM. Casey Fighting Method, often
Yeah.
abbreviated as KFM.
Yeah. Casey fighting method. Yeah,
No.
yeah. It's like a street fighting method. But yeah, when you watch a Joe Rogan podcast, you see how he talks to Jamie. He's like, yeah, just. And
Yeah, he
like,
gets frustrated and like mad at him.
yeah, and I'm almost like, dude, it would probably be better if you just had a mouse next to you.
Yeah,
So then
and
you
you
don't have
just
to
could
fucking
look it
type.
up.
Yeah, or like he doesn't have to type everything, but like, you know how sometimes like Jamie will scroll too fast or something. I wish like Joe just had a mouse where it's like I'm trying to get to this point. He doesn't have to type. He doesn't have to go through Google. He just like points like this is what I'm trying to read.
I can't believe you noticed that because I've never heard anyone talk about it, and I've always thought like, damn, is Joe Rogan maybe a low-key secret dick? Because why is he being rude to Jamie like that?
Yeah, it is weird. He does kind of like belittle him, and sometimes his friends will be like, like they'll joke around being like, can Jamie come to like the football match tonight? And Joe will be like, yeah, he can come tonight with you guys. And I'm almost like, that's like a funny joke kind of, but it's also kind of not a funny joke. Like I would hate if my boss was like saying some shit like that to me. Like, yeah, like I don't even want to joke around by being like you're younger or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll notice like Joe will get upset with you know, there was an episode where Joe actually does get pissed off at Jamie. There's like 2 of them. There's one where Joe Rogan's doing a sponsorship, but like it's an undercover sponsor where he's just like going through it, and then Jamie interrupts the sponsorship and he goes like, "Yeah, that product's kind of weird." And then Joe gives him like the craziest fucking look, like he's about to kill him. he's like, it's almost like, this is a fucking sponsor. Shut the fuck up. And then there's like another time where Jamie kind of like was arguing with, I forget, one of those fucking fighter guys, and he was basically saying his bachelor degree made him be allowed to have a conversation about something that was out of his league. Like he was trying to have a conversation. Joe Rogan's like, "Bro, stop! Like you're out of your league." Like, you know? And I was almost like, "Why are you being a dick to the guy? The guy's like fucking quiet." Sometimes I want to hear him talk, bro. Sometimes
I genuinely am like, why the fuck don't they ever let him talk? Like, I want to hear what he says. Man.
I want to hear what Jamie has to say all the time, but you can never hear what he has to say. They always cut him off, or like they rush him. They make him feel like he has to hurry up. I'm like, man,
yeah, it'd be like Joe Rogan would be like, "Yeah, Jamie's a genius," and then he'll start talking and cut him off and be like, "Shut up."
Yeah. Hey, all right, that's enough of that. That's enough of that. You had your moment to shine.
Ass out, man.
Yeah, but that, you know, that's cool to see. Even with, you know what I wonder too about the UFC and what they did and how they built that organization. Do you think, all right, percentage wise, how much do you think Joe Rogan impacted and influenced what is now the UFC and the success of it? Do you think he has like a 5% like increase of what it could? Like, do you think?
I think way bigger than that.
How big do you think he made? Like, how much bigger do you think Joe Rogan made the UFC by just talking about it and posting it?
Joe Rogan was like the original content creator of like putting MMA on the map and informing people what it is and everything like that. It would be like a Muay Thai promotion right now partnering with like what's like Logan Paul's podcast, Impulsive or whatever. I would say if they partnered, even if they had big pockets, Impulsive would be like 60-70% of their success, you know? And I think Joe Rogan was that for the UFC, you know? I think he was like the originator of it all.
Really?
Yeah.
So percentage wise, you think it's like a pretty damn fair amount that Joe Rogan impacted the UFC success?
He was going on TV in the beginning. No one really remembers this, but he was going on, and I mean, I was too young, but he was going on TV and on all these big shows and arguing for it and promoting it and talking about it. And that's why Joe Rogan is so famous. Like the spotlight was all on him in the beginning, you know?
Really?
As far as a content creator, yeah.
Damn.
It was like him and Dana White.
Damn. Well, they are like tied together when you watch like any footage of them. Like they're always just like really super close and shit. It's crazy, man. What's Dana White worth? What's that guy worth, man? Is he like, did he hit $1 billion yet?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're worth a ridiculous amount of money. I don't know if a Muay Thai promotion will ever reach that scale.
Yeah.
But
how can everybody get seats? How can everybody be a part of this? Or if anybody can be, well, first of all, for the audience, how can they come watch it?
Okay, so I mean, you can buy tickets right at the door, but if you do buy tickets online, there's a discount. You can some of the content creators will be releasing promo codes, but right now there's an early bird promo code. You get you get a general seating admission ticket with the discount. It comes out to like $50, and then for a VIP seating, there's very limited VIP seating and ringside seating, so those are going to be about $95, and you can buy them right online at Eventbrite or go to Mint Muay Thai Instagram, and the link's right in our bio.
Do you know any of the fighters that you can announce right now, or is it still not scheduled fully yet?
Yeah, right now we have Reese Kelly fighting. He's 2-0 as a pro. He actually has a traditional karate style, but he's very fast. His mom and his dad were both black belts, and his uncles were professional boxers, and he has been training since a little kid, and he is super high level. He will be fighting as a professional. We have Cyrus Washington. As a professional, I believe Cyrus has like 120 fights.
Damn.
With like 50 or 60 of them being knockouts. That's the difference in Muay Thai. These guys fight way more often. So a lot of times UFC, a crazy record would be like 20 fights, you know? These guys fight 100, 200, 300 times. So they'll have as many knockouts as like 3 times a UFC fighter. He's a legend in the sport. He's like one of the original American competitors from like 20 years ago. he was talking about retiring, and he's gonna come back because he was born in Michigan. They've never had a fight here, so he wanted a fight for us here.
Sick.
We have Joey Colley fighting Chris Knight. Adrian Vuksani is fighting. These are big in the underground scene of fighting, and a ton more. There's gonna be 28 fighters on the card.
So you got legit fighters coming in, not just like it's not just amateur level. It's also like guys who are legit pros.
No, Cyrus Washington might be one of the highest level guys in America, and he
shit.
lives in Texas, and he's coming in to fight
Sick.
on the card.
Damn.
Yeah.
So how do you normally tickets? When do tickets go on sale? Have you seen any response
I
yet?
just put them up this week, but so like the main like later in the week we'll start promoting the ticket sales. So we haven't announced yet that the ticket sales are on, but as of now you could go in there and hit the link in our bio and it's up.
So after I whoop Primo's ass, I'm literally gonna go sit down and do some side commentating. And then you guys can mute my mic whenever I want, right? Like, so if I start like saying stupid shit, you guys can be like, "All right, shut the fuck up," and just mute it. Or like, am I gonna side commentate or not?
So if you there isn't a live stream yet, but I would love to set up a commentating table that's for post-production purposes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so you don't have to mute your mic ever,
Oh yeah, I could just be.
So
saying,
just like, have you ever been in a UFC fight?
nah.
So you can't hear what the commentators are saying. That's only for live television, but you can hear it post-production when we release it all.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So
saying.
say the stupidest things ever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, because I'll be like the guy that doesn't know shit, and then there will be like a commentator next to me that does know shit. And it'd be like sick. Because I'll be like the layman person watching it.
Yes.
But I guess in Muay Thai you can't really be that. Like in Jiu-Jitsu, there's so much grappling and fucking movements and like all that shit that there's so many like terms and whatnot. From Muay Thai, it almost seems like if I'm watching, it's either like he hit him with the elbow, he kicked his ass.
Yeah, you
he
can see what's
punched him.
going on.
So
Hey,
you know,
they're
like-
not doing nothing. These guys are fucking boring, man. Like, you can say anything you want, and then I'll put you next to two guys who really know what the fuck they're talking about.
So like, okay, there's gonna be so you can know some shit more than the layman, right? Obviously about this shit, like.
Oh, there's unlimited amount of knowledge. You can spend 30 years studying this sport, and you won't.
What'd you think of Bruce Lee? What'd you think of Jeet Kune Do?
I mean, he's pretty cool.
What'd you think of
I
Jeet-
mean, like,
Hey, do you think Jeet Kune Do would hold up against a Muay Thai fighter? Do you think?
no, that's some people have asked me, like, do you think, how would Bruce Lee do in the UFC? I'm like, he would die. What do you mean? He would get smoked by the worst UFC fighter in 2 seconds.
You seriously think that?
I know that. There's no doubt in the. Okay, so martial arts is like forever evolving. It's not like boxing is. You ever heard the term sweet science? Boxing, they call it the sweet science. There's a real science to boxing, but it's also been around for fucking thousands of years. MMA has been around since the 1990s. It's evolving at massively rapid levels. So if you were a really good MMA fighter in the 90s, you would fucking die now, you know? So now you can track back all the way further to Bruce Lee. You know, we start to learn what works and what doesn't work, and then they start vetoing out certain things. I mean, imagine the sumo wrestler who hopped into the UFC then, and now take that sumo wrestler and try to stick him in there with John Jones. That sumo wrestler really thought he had a chance back then.
Yeah.
Now we know that guy had no chance, and very similar with Bruce Lee, where, I mean, I'm sure he was the best ever at his time, but this is just not his time. And maybe if he trained in this day and age with his philosophies and mindset, but had the knowledge of now, maybe he'd be amazing. But if you took his knowledge of then, it just won't compare.
Right, you're saying like if you just teleported him from where he was till right now, it wouldn't work. But he probably would have adapted if he was just chilling over time.
Yeah, because he had amazing philosophy and mindsets behind it all.
So
you know?
Jeet Kune Do is a Jeet Kune No. What a flop.
A lot of martial arts are. Traditional martial arts have just been kind of disproven.
What's the most
in
bullshit
general.
martial art?
Oh, fuck. Well, there's one. I forgot the name of it. I just seen this on Instagram where they, like, literally have superpowers. They, like...
Well, no, that's not even a real thing.
Yeah,
That's not a
what
real
the
thing,
fuck
though.
is that called?
Capoeira.
Yeah,
Capoeira. Is capoeira bullshit?
if it sounds like that, it's bullshit. Like if it sounds like
Okay.
anything with a keto
Fine,
or
okay.
anything like that is bullshit.
So if somebody is like saying, "Oh, I want to go get like self-defense to learn how to fight in real street fight scenarios." Like I'm going to Detroit and I want to like learn how to defend myself if somebody tries to mug me. Like where
Yeah.
would you tell them to go?
Yeah, so leave your Krav Maga membership. I know that's really popular now, but that's bullshit too. Go to a boxing gym and learn how to box. You don't need to know how to kick and knee and elbow in a street fight. Learn how to use your two hands and go and wrestle. I would even probably veto out a bit of jiu-jitsu because jiu-jitsu takes so long to adapt at a higher level. But if you want to spend your time wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and boxing, and combine those together, or any just mixed martial arts in general, because that's what they're gonna have you focus on.
Cool.
But those will dominate throughout anything else. Like Krav Maga.
So my brother trains in, so
I have a lot of friends in Krav Maga. I was actually just at a Krav Maga gym last week beating up some guys, but but
talking
okay,
shit.
but Krav Maga does plan to implement these things. They implement boxing, kickboxing, and wrestling and stuff. That is the goal. The thing I don't like about Krav Maga is they teach knife defense. And there is no such fucking thing as knife defense. Like when two people get into a fight with a knife, you don't walk out good. And I think it gives people this false confidence that if this guy tries to stab me, I know what to do, and you don't know what to do, and you're going to get stabbed. So they had these like tests online where these like top level Krav Maga guys and martial artists they had these like white things on and they had all the vital organs marked, and this guy had like a marker as a knife, and this guy was completely untrained with a knife, never fucking like had a knife, just a random guy. And then they went to use their moves and they only had 20-second rounds. They only had to survive for 20 seconds, and each of them got just stabbed the fuck ton. Nobody made it for a single 20-second round.
Man.
And they were all experts,
Yeah, I remember Detroit Dust, that guy, the police officer from Detroit. He was like doing gun defense, and some guy like was holding a gun up to Detroit Dust, and then Detroit Dust tried to disarm him. And the guy just like pulled the gun back and just started shooting. And I was like, yeah, that's what everybody would do in any situation. Like you wouldn't just be like, yeah, let me hold it like this until I get fucking taken away. Like people, like when you're in you've been in real street fights, I'm assuming, right? Like I've been in real street fights. Like when that shit's happening, first of all, your adrenaline is through the roof. So every action you're actually taking is like a miscalculation, almost like 90% of the time. So I'm figuring if you're like really in control of what you're doing and you're really trained, it just helps you way more than the guy who doesn't know what the fuck he's doing just because you have so much training and like you know the movements to get into, right? But that adrenaline takes you out. Like that's the thing that scares me for people who train. Like when that adrenaline kicks in and you're actually in that moment, like your life is being threatened, does a lot of it go out the window, or does it
You have to train it out of you. And at first, no. I mean, for years, no. Like
years?
You train that out of you. You get into the gym, you're terrified, you black out in the gym, not even in the ring yet, where you're just with sparring partners, and then you fight and you fight and you fight and you fight, and then it starts to go away. Then you go step into the ring for the very first time. You're very comfortable sparring. You don't get those adrenaline nerves or anything like that. Then you go in the ring and it all happens again. You fucking black the fuck out, don't know what you're doing, throw all your training out the window, and then you fight again and again and again, and then it all goes away. I mean, you gotta think, like, for a trained fighter, like, if you counted every time I fought in the gym and in the ring, I have fought 10,000 times, and compared to if I were to fight somebody who fights in a bar, they could be the best street fighter in the fucking world. What, you fought 40 times? 50 times? I don't care if you fought 300 times in the bar. I have fought 10,000 times. And then it's just completely like ridded out of me.
So when you got in your street fight, were you in control?
So I got into a street fight in my training and decided I wouldn't street fight again unless I absolutely had to, because I was at a club and I actually fought two people that night, and fucking I hadn't been in a street fight since I was fighting like competitively, and then fucking I could tell this guy kind of just like blacked out, and I was completely calm. I didn't have any adrenaline, and I picked exactly where I was gonna hit him and what shots to hit him with, and I hit him like 3 or 4 times and knocked him out cold. And then I thought that was not okay. Like, he had never had a chance. He was just, I was like, So, and I kind of just thought, like, okay, that's just like, I coach fighters, and it would be like someone coming to me coaching them on their first day and then me fighting them. I just don't think that's.
You
like,
felt it
okay.
wasn't fair.
Yeah, because I've been in tons of bar fights, street fights, and stuff like that, and I blacked out too. I was closing my eyes, swinging for the fences, and then that was so different for me, where I was like, oh, I wasn't angry after or anything. I just walked away.
Do you think that the running away from the knife approach is the best approach? Just run.
I do think, okay, the only time that training will come in handy, or the gun stuff, is if you 100% absolutely know that this person is going to kill you. I think there's a big misconception because these guys want to make money, and I know that what I'm saying is bad for your guys' business plan, but like, they want to make money, so they're making you really believe this. You can defend someone.
Fears.
Yeah. But the truth is, you should run, and some good Krav Maga coaches do instill this in their students. So I don't want to hate on them, but the most of them don't, and you should fucking run like hell and get the fuck out of there. You don't try to defend yourself.
Yeah, I think
beg them, give them your money, give them anything.
You're right about the classes too. They're selling you. They know that you have fear, and it's easy to sell something to somebody who's fearful. Like, if you're fearful that you're walking home with your girlfriend, especially like how men are on social media, and it's like, you can't defend your girlfriend, you're a pussy, dude. And then it's like, I gotta go sign up for this class now. Like, I like what Andrew Tate. I really don't. I mean, I'm starting to like Andrew Tate.
Me too. I hated him. I used to post him on Instagram. I'm like, everyone who listens to this guy's a cornball. But then I was like, damn, he's kind of telling the truth.
He does sometimes, man. He said yesterday, I was watching him, and he's like, dude, I was at a bar with my girlfriend and another couple. It was like, a double date. And he's like, a group of guys came up to my friend, and they started picking on him, and they started fucking with his girlfriend. And then Tate was like, my girlfriend wanted to like help them out, and I was like, no, shut the fuck up and stay back. Long story short, the couple that he was with got their ass beat. The boyfriend and the girlfriend got their ass whooped. And Andrew Tate was like, see, like, what would have happened if we got involved in that? We would have got our ass whooped over some tacos. Like, he's like, I'm not gonna fucking.
Even, I mean, he was a kickboxer. Even if he did definitely like stage a lot of his fights, but fucking he didn't stage them. He just got trash cans. You don't really ever have to stage a fight because there's so many idiots willing to take fights against trained professionals.
So like, he was beating people he could easily beat. Like, there wasn't a chance, basically.
Yeah, he would have like 80 fights fighting someone on their debut first fight. He's gonna kill him.
Damn.
Like, he knew he was gonna kill him before they fought. Do
you think Andrew Tate's as rich as he seems he is?
I have no clue.
Bro, the guy.
I mean, I would assume so. He's famous as fuck.
Is
if
he?
you can't, I think, yeah.
He
who
is
the fuck
famous
doesn't
as
know
fuck,
who
but
Adrian Tate is?
how does he make pape?
I feel like being that famous is very easy to convert anything into money.
Yeah. So you're basically saying that his fights weren't like real legit fights. He was basically fighting people.
I know he has
like
some
ringer
real
fights.
legit fights for sure, and like I don't think he's like completely full of shit. But this is a part of being a fighter too, is building your record. So like, you're gonna, in the beginning of your record, people want to see you're undefeated and good, so you're gonna make sure as a professional you get matched with a bunch of fucking, they call them cans, like guys who suck really bad, and then it'll level up your record. You'll get highlight reels, gain popularity, and that was a lot of his fights,
Like with Jake Paul, like or Logan Paul or Jake Paul, like they haven't. Which one hasn't lost a fight yet?
Jake Paul definitely lost a fight, so it must be Logan
I was
Paul.
like, well, which one?
Jake Paul lost against Tommy Fury.
That was the last match.
The match before that one.
The match before that one. I was gonna say, like, I always wondered, like, if he loses, does it end his like thing that he's trying to do here, or like people?
That does happen in boxing. I think that's the stupidest thing ever.
Well, just end kind of like nobody gives a fuck anymore.
Like, if you're undefeated, and then that happens all the time in boxing. Undefeated fighter loses one fight, and then he's like irrelevant now, and it's like, Why?
Well, because it's the Floyd Mayweather effect. It's like everybody's watching. He has people who are watching him to see him win, and then you have people watching him to see him lose. Like literally just to watch. Like that's the craziest concept in the world. Nobody gets that treatment. Nobody gets the treatment of like.
Is this going to be the first time he loses?
Yeah, like you're not. Some people are watching Floyd Mayweather. They don't know shit about boxing. You're just like, I want to see him fucking lose, dude. And nobody else gets that. Like nobody else gets that besides the Paul brothers.
Yeah.
You just want to see them get knocked the fuck out because everybody hates them. But
So maybe that will happen with them if they get significantly like knocked out because they just want to see him get knocked out.
yeah, dude. Once you knock one of the Paul brothers out, I'm not watching the Paul brothers anymore. I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck. Right?
Because he lost a decision. No one really cared about that. They want to see him get slapped.
I want to see him get knocked out because every single time.
hate them?
I don't know, dude.
Just fucking
Just like why I hated Andrew Tate for no fucking reason. Like I was just like, who the fuck are you, dude?
Not for no reason. The guy's cringy as hell.
Yeah, they are cringy. They are cringy as fuck.
I did start to realize though that a lot of Andrew Tate's like antics were like
Trolling.
he was just being trolling and
Yeah.
like just being funny, and that was his personality type, and no one understood it. I didn't understand it. I was seeing him do that, and I was like, you fucking tool. But I don't think he really believes a lot of it himself.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. He trolls, and you don't know if he's fucking serious or not serious. But as soon as you start understanding him, you know what the fuck he's serious about.
Yeah, and he actually has a lot better morals and stuff than
Yeah, he
people
has good
think.
morals, and I did like I did appreciate the conversation about if like some guy's trying to fucking fight you at a bar over your girlfriend. It's just like, what the fuck's the point again?
Especially in the day and age where everybody has a gun.
Yeah.
I try to avoid any fighting because it doesn't matter if I know I'm gonna beat you up. You can always just go shoot me in the head, and I can't do anything about that.
Remember, yeah, dude, Sueno, we have an unreleased episode with Sueno, and he literally says that. He's like, bro, think about this. He's like, you're fucking lifting weights all day. You're pushing 100, 200 pounds, bench pressing, lifting weights, fucking running, doing cardio, all this shit, just for me to shoot you in the chest with a pistol. I'm like, what the fuck?
That episode's never coming out?
Nah, we couldn't drop it.
I haven't talked to him in a while. That he used to be like a good friend.
Yeah, no, he was here. You guys did like vlogs in the studio and shit.
Yeah, I was here during the podcast.
Oh yeah.
We would go in the car and drink because he was so nervous, you know.
Yeah, he was. We were both too drunk. That's why we didn't release it.
Yeah.
But it was fucking good. It was fucking good. There's two episodes three episodes that never got released. The dude who said Eminem Skiminem, Rocky Bad's first episode, and Sueno.
So why did Eminem Scaminam whatever is
Because
Skiminem?
man, Eminem Skiminem. You don't know
What
that
the
guy?
fuck is it?
You don't know
No.
that guy? The guy who says like he met Eminem at Time Travelers. You never
No.
dude, you know it's like one of the most viral like on other
Dude, I'm
platforms.
so out the
Yeah.
loop.
Anyway, it's fucking. I'll send it to you. It's fucking legendary, but. I don't know. You'll have to see it to see why I didn't release it. I don't know. It was just too like I was scared of him because he was like saying shit to me. Like he was messaging me. He was like, "I'm gonna kill you." Like, I don't know what's happening.
Was he?
He's like,
How are you not terrified of that?
who?
Like fucking someone coming in here and like, hey,
Dude.
let's do a podcast, and then they fucking murder you.
So I'm thinking to myself like this, right? I don't think anybody has a reason to. I think you know what might happen one day. Knock on wood, is somebody's gonna slap the shit out of me on my podcast.
That'd be great.
And then I'm gonna have to like, and then like his friends like fucking live streaming it, and it's like, oh, the end of Kid L's podcast, and I'm like, that's the end. Like it's just that.
I mean, I don't know.
know
That
what I would do?
that makes some money.
If somebody slapped me on my podcast, no, because your career ends in Detroit. If you get slapped in the face in Detroit, your career ends.
Is that how it goes?
Yeah, you're done. I'll show you some videos later, but
I feel like if you represent a tough guy attitude, I feel like you're not you're representing a comedian like podcast host. I feel like you could get slapped and it would be okay.
yeah, maybe you're right.
He's like a civilian or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, I guess you're right. Okay, I get slapped, but yeah, I'll just get slapped and move on with it.
I think that would blow up, dude.
If I got slapped in the face,
Yeah, I think it'd be great for you.
that'd be too much. We had Bizarre walk off the podcast. That sucked ass. Bizarre, he didn't walk off.
why though?
He wasn't mad. He was just like hi, and he's like, it was like 20 minutes into the interview. He was like, I'm going to the back. I was like, what? And he just got up and left. I was like, what's happening right now? I just got leaving the fucking podcast.
I had that happen as an engineer.
And as an engineer, they just walked off on your ass.
I won't say the name, but it's like a really famous person in Michigan.
Really?
But it was my first session with him, and I hadn't had a lot of experience with celebrities yet, and I was so nervous, and I was like fucking everything up on the computer, and like couldn't have a conversation with him, and he was trying to be really nice to me and talk to me, but I was like freezing up and being awkward and not talking, and like 40 minutes into the session, he's like, hey bro, how much I owe you? I gotta go right now. And then like I'm like, do you want the song we just did? And he's like, no, I gotta go, and threw money on the thing and dipped.
Well, that could have been a serious situation though, where he just actually had to fucking leave. You think it was because you were fucking up, or do you think he was actually like?
No, bro. Like, okay, like I knew he was lying when he was saying it. There was like a lot of things that drove to it. It wasn't real by any means. His excuse was like, he told me he had this show to go on at like 10 p.m. and then his excuse was like that he had the show to go on at 10 p.m. And I'm like, it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you were supposed to be here for 5 hours.
He just wanted to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
He's like, if you can't figure this part out,
terrible though,
bro. The thing is, the reason my situation's 1,000 times worse than yours though is because I literally grew up watching Bizarre and D12 and Eminem for like 20 years. And then he's sitting on my couch, and I'm like, oh, finally. He's like, all right, I'm out of here. What the fuck? That sucked ass, man. That was like, I honestly was sitting there, and I was like, this fucking sucks. I was like, I suck at this. I was like, I'm not good at this. I'm like,
yeah, that would give me imposter syndrome so bad.
I was like, totally like, fuck. I don't feel like I'm supposed to be doing this whole thing. But then, I don't know. I kind of got over it after a while. It was podcasting in the beginning was hard. You know why podcasting is hard for me? It's not hard for me, but it's hard because the Detroit culture has like a shield, and like people from Detroit have like a shield, and so you can't really talk about things up front or cut to chases.
What kind of shield? Like there's certain topics they don't want to bring up.
If there's somebody from they don't want to bring up certain topics with me. But if it's like somebody from their culture or from their hood or from the streets or somebody with high reputability, then they'll like cut right into like, oh yeah, that's why I got shot in the face.
Okay.
But like for me, it's almost like, where are you trying to go with this? And it's like, can we just like, dude, I'm asking you something that you know your fans want to know about and you want to talk about, but you're like so worried about how I'm presenting the question that it just makes me have to like walk around all these bushes where it's like, I'm not going to be a dick when I bring it up, but you like how much I have to walk around the bushes is kind of annoying. It's like, can I just fucking ask you that question, man? Like, Jesus Christ, like who jumped you? Like, you got jumped. Yeah. It's on camera. What the fuck? Like, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not trying to start any feud here, but we're talking about it vaguely.
Do you think they're worried that like you'll clip it in a certain way that
No, there's this thing that I kind of just started learning about. First of all, there is a shield. It's a shield of like white person asking me question, blah, like that's a shield that's kind of like already there. There's like a whole concept in podcasting that I did not know about, and I learned it from the Paul brothers, and I didn't confirm it until it happened to my podcast. But there's this thing basically where you pocket topics. So like if you're Jake Paul and you have like a secret to tell about the Floyd Mayweather fight or something like that, you're not going to come say it on my podcast. You're going to go say it on a bigger podcast. So they pocket topics so that way when they get on these bigger podcasts, it's fresh, it's new, it's out there for the first time on a massive podcast. So it's getting massive attention at that fucking point. There's a video of Jake Paul even saying I'm saving my conversation for this topic for Joe Rogan's podcast, so I can't talk about it here. And they're like, what? You're saving topics? But then it happened to me here. I was literally talking to somebody. He's like, I can't talk about that. I'm talking about that with Adam next week. And I was like, what the fuck?
Man.
He's like, you can't. He's like, we got Adam talking about it. I was like, why is this happening? Like, and he's like, it happens. Like, we do that. Like, Adam.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense to them, dude. I don't know why you can't talk about it in both places.
Well, the first fresh time that it comes out, you want people to see it on which platform is going to get the most engagement. Right, so like you're gonna go to No Jumper and be like, okay, this is why I dyed my hair red. If they say it on my podcast first, I release it, then 3 weeks later they go on No Jumper and say it. They would rather have had the first take be from No Jumpers than mine because they're gonna get more views on that and it's gonna get higher engagement because he has 3 fucking million followers. Yeah. So it's like you pocket topics, whatever, but then there's that force field around it too. But
where do you think this is going? Like the podcast, you think?
Basically, we're in a bad fucking position.
Why do you say that?
It's a bad position because essentially We can't talk about this right now. The fuck? We'll talk about this out there. Hey, what the fuck? Hey, we just divulged all this information. Anyway, let's wrap up what you got going on. Is there anything else you want to talk about as far as the fight is concerned? Is there anything people are missing knowledge about?
No, just I don't think so. I'm just hoping as many people come out and support as possible. I've dumped a ton of money into this thing, all of my money into this thing.
God damn.
So I'm hoping we get a good turnout, and I get a lot of people to come out and support. I can guarantee you're going to see some people get knocked out. It'll be fun. You can drink and listen to music. It should be a fun night. So I'm hoping as many people. And the new studio that's a thing we didn't talk about. This is going to be like the first Dolby Atmos room in Michigan.
Really?
Yeah. So it's going to be the first room where you can get your music converted over to like a surround sound scenario for Dolby Atmos listeners. So that will be done in a few weeks too.
So is that studio a few weeks away from being ready?
Well, I would say anywhere between 2 and 5 weeks it'll be done.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm psyched for that. It's going to be sick. Awesome. We'll get you back on again before the fight. So it's fucking fun, dude. Appreciate you being a part of this. Appreciate you guys, Parallel Sound Studio, hosting all these productions for us for the past 2.5 years.
Oh yeah.
We're at Parallel Sound Studio, High Level Visual Shootings Productions. We're out. Peace.